Welcome to 3 Secrets to Getting Your Preschoolers Reading Ready in Half the Time. I'm Vanessa Levin, your host, and I am super excited to have you here tonight. So before we dive in, I want to let you know what we're going to be talking about. In this webinar, I'm going to show you how to get your kids reading ready in the most efficient and effective way possible, in a more natural way that mirrors how young children actually learn, but all by having more fun in your classroom. How does that sound? This process is going to allow you to be the most skilled and confident teacher you can be because you deserve it. And it's also going to help your kids become reading ready because they deserve to have the best possible learning experience. Would you agree? So right now, here's what I want you to do. I want you to turn off your cell phone, unless you're watching on it, in which case you need to keep that on. But I want you to turn off your cell phone if you're not on it right now, the TV, anything else you have going on around you, because this masterclass is going to be jam-packed full of important information you can use to really help your little learners build a solid foundation for future reading success, okay? So I want you to have the best experience possible in this webinar. So I want you to pay attention to these important tips that are on the screen right now. So you're going to want to close all other applications that you have going on, any streaming that's going on in the house, any gaming. I'm sure none of these things are going on at your house right now because that's going to affect your experience during the webinar. If you're having any audio or video issues at all, just try refreshing or even changing your browser. If you go back to that link that you got, you can go in and choose a different browser. And be sure that sound is on your computer. It's turned up, it's not muted. And a lot of you have already tried out the chat. And if you haven't, go ahead and type something in the chat box now, just to make sure you're ready for when I ask questions, okay? All right, so you might be wondering if you're in the right place, if this masterclass is really for you. And here's how you know that you're in the right place. You are in the right place if you've ever been frustrated with your kids not remembering the letters as you teach them, even if you just taught it yesterday. If you've ever felt like that, if you've ever felt frustrated, you are in the right place. You're also in the right place if you feel pressured by the ever-increasing demands on you as a teacher, even as your kids come into your classroom with fewer skills each year. You're fighting shorter attention spans. You're fighting the lack of fine motor skills, lack of parental support, but you're still held to the same accountability. You're in the right place if you've ever felt this pressure. And you want to keep up with those current educational trends and best practices in emergent literacy and not just rely on outdated info or those internet rumors. So I applaud all of you for taking time out of your very busy schedule to join me here tonight. That's what I love about teachers. We are lifelong learners and we never stop learning and honing our teaching skills. And proof is that there are more than 470 of you here live in the room with me right now, and more than 4,000 of you signed up for this free webinar. That tells me how dedicated you really are. So don't let anyone ever say that teachers get summers off and have a life of luxury, because it is so not true, and we are proving it right now. So I want you to do me a favor right now, and I want you to type yes in the chat box if you can relate to any of those scenarios that I just described. Just go ahead and type a number in there to let me know which of these statements resonates with you the most. So if you're feeling frustrated, if you've ever felt frustrated, type a 1. If you've ever felt pressured, type 2. And if you want to keep up, type 3. And I know exactly how you feel because I have experienced all of those things before as a classroom teacher. All of them. Let me see if I can peek at the chat. Oh my goodness, I can't keep up with that. 1, 2, and 3, 1, 2, and 3, 1 and 3, 2, 1, 3. All. Some people just are writing all. That's awesome. You can go ahead. Yes to all 3. Oh my goodness. I am so glad that I am on the right track here. That is phenomenal. And hey guys, we are ready to roll 500 here in the house, and I am so thrilled. Yeah. Okay. So oh my goodness, those comments are, wow, blowing me away. You guys are amazing. I can't believe that this resonates so well with you. It makes me feel good that I'm not the only one, right? And I know it makes you feel good to know that you're not alone. So just know that everyone out there watching with us, 500 people feel the same way you do or have felt that way at some time. So in my 20 years of teaching in the classroom, I've met many teachers who think that all kids really need is to play outside all day and they'll be reading when they're ready. And I totally agree that kids today need to get outdoors more. And it's also true that all kids learn at their own pace. It is very, very true. But getting outside and playing is not the only thing kids need to gain critical pre-reading skills. To be truly reading ready, there must be some skillful, intentional instruction happening in the classroom. And as professional educators, that's me and you, it's our duty to know and understand how our students learn and apply that knowledge to our instruction in the classroom. There can be a balance between high quality immersion literacy instruction and outdoor time. It is not either or. I think we can all agree that our students deserve to have the absolute best learning experience we can give them, taught by the most confident and skilled teachers who know how to use fun, playful, and natural methods of instruction. So now we're all on the same page. Let's dig in a little bit. So I have taught Head Start in public pre-K. I've taught in those situations for 20 years. And my passion is working with young dual language learners and their families. And I started pre-K pages to help pass on all of this important information that I have learned over the years to you, so you can deliver high quality instruction to the kids in your classrooms, whether that's here in the United States or anywhere in the world. I've been fortunate enough to be able to share my passions and ideas with teachers like you at national conferences like NACE, Frog Street Splash, and I Teach K, as well as public and private schools and early childhood organizations all across the United States. I believe that all teachers deserve to have the skills and tools they need to be the best teachers they can be. And I also believe that all children deserve to have the best possible learning experience. Let me know if you agree. Oh my goodness, this is so exciting. We just rolled over 500 people in the room. So exciting. So here's the thing. From the very beginning of my teaching career, I knew that canned curriculum wouldn't work for my kids because I was teaching in a very large urban school district here in Texas where 90% or more of my students were dual language learners. My kids didn't eat pancakes or peanut butter at home, and they had no idea what pancakes or peanut butter even were. But yet the canned curricula wanted us to teach an entire unit on the letter P, focusing on pancakes and peanut butter. I just couldn't do it. I couldn't use those tired out ways of teaching my students. They deserve better. And I refused to do that to my students because I knew I would be setting them up for failure. So I researched best practices from those emergent literacy gurus like Mari Clay and later on Fountas and Pinnell. And then I tried out those best practices in my own classroom to see how they worked. And another thing I did was I shadowed master teachers who allowed me to see those best practices in action. It's so important. I can't stress how important it is for us as teachers to get outside the four walls of our own classrooms and see what other teachers are actually doing that works. And that is what I want to bring you tonight. So here's the thing. If you have to teach the alphabet, but you hate the feeling of marching through a canned curriculum, and you don't like the results you're getting from that canned curriculum, but you also want to be the most confident and skilled teacher you can be because you deserve it. If you also want your kids to have the best learning experience possible because they deserve it, then you need to keep watching. Can you imagine what it would feel like to get rid of that forced and artificial feeling that you get from using stale canned curriculum and be free to play with language and literacy together in a more natural way that would really help your kids become reading ready instead of just keeping them busy? Wouldn't that feel amazing? Let me know in the chat box if that would feel amazing to you. Absolutely, says Lorraine. Fantastic. Yes, absolutely. Oh my goodness. Webinars are so awesome for getting affirmation. Yay. Okay. I love it. So yeah, we're all on the same page so far. So let's jump. Oh, my goodness. On this next slide. Oh, it showed up fine on your side. Okay, on my side, it shows a typo, but okay, I'll go with it. Let's go with your side. Teaching with confidence and skill requires understanding how young children really learn. And this is very different from following an old, dusty, tired out curriculum that worked really well in 1950, but doesn't work in the 21st century, or a curriculum that only works with certain populations. So here's an example, okay? Let's say you're encouraging a baby to walk. You wouldn't just sit the baby down and explain to the baby, this is a step. First, you do this. Then you shift your weight to the second foot. And you wouldn't get upset or frustrated because they couldn't demonstrate mastery over weight shifting by next week, would you? No, of course not. You absolutely wouldn't do that because learning how to walk is a global skill and it includes prerequisites. And those prerequisite skills are things like spatial awareness, colors and shapes, depth perception, understanding solid versus non-solid objects, balance, all of these things. All of these skills, they're developing at the very same time, and we need to be aware of all those skills and how they work together in the process of learning how to walk. And the very same thing is true when it comes to being reading ready. The development of reading readiness skills is not a linear process. And I'm going to say that again because it is so important that we understand that. The development of reading readiness skills is not a linear process. Kids do not learn how to identify letters of the alphabet first, then move on to letter sounds, then sight words, and voila, they're readers. Reading is a global skill that is so much more complicated than that. And when we don't teach the way they learn, we're setting our kids up for failure. And I know you want your kids to succeed. You deserve to be the most skilled and most confident teacher you can be. And I know you want your kids to succeed because they all deserve to have the best possible learning experience. Am I right? So here are those prerequisites. Remember, we talked about the baby walking and there's prerequisites for walking. There are also prerequisites for reading readiness. These skills, right? These skills on the screen have been proven by research, right, to be the 4 factors that determine future reading success. And these are in your handout. So there is a handout here. And Tom has pinned it to the top of the comments. So those skills are phonological awareness. We're going to go over each one of these a little bit. Concepts of print, alphabet knowledge, and oral language. Those 4 things. Now, each of those is its own animal in and of itself because they all involve subcategories as well. But those are the basic 4 factors that determine future reading success. So researchers have studied how kids learn how to read. Kids that can read well have demonstrated the mastery of these concepts, a good foundation in these 4 concepts, okay? But each of these concepts is very complex in and of itself. So we want kids to have an environment rich with all of these experiences that allow their brains to make connections between the written and the spoken word simultaneously. So let me know in the chat box right now with a yes or a no. Is what I've described here different from what you've been doing in your classroom? Just type in the chat box yes or no. And I'm going to pop over to the chat. So we have a lot of folks that are on the same page and a lot of folks that are going to learn along with us tonight. That is awesome. Fantastic. Now just know that phonological awareness has many components. So I'm going to briefly go over this with you. The basic definition of phonological awareness skills is the ability to play with sounds in oral language. So remember those 4 factors we just looked at on the last screen? They've been proven to determine future reading success. Phonological awareness was one of those 4 skills. The ability to hear and manipulate the sounds in spoken language is going to help your students build a strong foundation for reading success. Even before they learn how to identify the letters, children can say the sounds they hear in spoken language. Okay, when they can hear those sounds in a word and identify where the sounds occur in the word, they're developing strong pre-reading skills. And the way that young children learn how to hear and manipulate those sounds in oral language is through natural methods like high quality read alouds, songs, rhymes, and finger plays. That is how they acquire a majority of those phonological awareness skills. Now, there is a whole sequence to those skills. There's a whole ladder or staircase of skills that go along with that we're not going to get into tonight. But the most important thing to take away from this is that they can learn these things through natural methods, things like high quality read alouds, songs, rhymes, and finger plays, okay? And another way they can practice these phonological awareness skills is through fun hands-on games and activities. I'm going to share with you a few of those in a moment. So learning phonological awareness skills is part of that global learning process we discussed earlier. And now remember, when kids are learning globally, they're not learning in that linear way. First, they learn how to identify letters. Then we're going to work on some, rhyming, and then we're going to, identify the sounds, and then we're going to learn sight words, and then we're going to read. That's not how it works. It's a global process, right? It's happening simultaneously alongside letter identification. And this type of literacy development is not linear. I'm just repeating myself, but that is not how children learn, okay? That is not how they learn. The next one is concepts of print. So concepts of print is the basic understanding of how books and print work. And this is what we call concepts of print, the basic understanding of how books and print work. And there are a lot of components to concepts of print, right? I don't think that you're ever done teaching concepts of print in preschool or kindergarten for that matter, especially with struggling students. Letters and words hold meaning, that's one of them. And on the screen, I forgot to mention on the previous slide, on the screen are links. They're not clickable, but you can get those links in the chat, or you can get them in your handout. And if you click on them in the handout, they will take you to a page where there's a lot more information. If you wanted to look at that, you're welcome to do that. So some of those concepts of print include: print is what we read. Sounds so simple, but not always. The illustrations or the pictures match the words. We read from left to right, top to bottom. When we get to the end of a line, we go back to the left, right? I shouldn't have said left and then right, but you know what I mean. That's called a return sweep. Books have a front, a back, and an author. There's a difference between a letter and a word. There are spaces between words. Where do we start reading? Print matches spoken words. Do you get the picture here? This is a very big skill to learn. So if you were focusing on concepts of print and phonological awareness skills, that's already a lot of stuff to teach in a year, but there's even more, right? So before children can begin to read, they have to understand how books and print work. And these precursors to concepts of print, these concepts of print are precursors rather to reading and writing, and they're crucial for reading readiness. And here on the screen, I have some environmental print examples here. Kids reading print in the world around them as it appears naturally. A lot of kids learn how to read signs and logos before they can really read. And this builds a lot of confidence in them, right? Because they think they can read. And our job is to say, yes, you can. Because when they believe they can, they will. So some of the things you can do, and these are also included at that link, aside from using the environmental print in the ways that I've shown here on the screen, you can point to the words in books as you read aloud, right? How easy is that? I mean, they don't have to be matching just yet, the words to each of the, the actual words to your finger, but they can understand that, oh, those are the places where the words come from, and the teacher moves her finger this way, and then she comes back, and that is so meaningful, but so easy to do, and you don't need anything fancy to do it, right? They'll watch your finger moving left to right, top to bottom. Count the words in a line of print and clap for each word spoken aloud. Use name cards and labels all around your room to help them recognize the words that are the most meaningful to them. There are so many ways that you can teach environmental print in your classroom. So far, we've talked about the importance of phonological awareness and the importance of concepts of print in this whole reading readiness thing, right? But there's even more that they have to learn. This is why our jobs are so hard, right? So the next one is alphabet knowledge, right? That's one of the big things. That's kind of what we're here for tonight. So nothing, and I mean nothing, is more important to a child, more meaningful than his or her own name. And when you focus on teaching the letters using students' names, it's highly motivating, right? For example, when Austin calls out, look, Ainsley has my letter. Austin is excited that Ainsley starts with an A. But what if instead it was an apple? Not so much. So with this approach, you're going to have your students' names and pictures plastered all over the room. You're going to have multiple name cards with pictures, one on their cubby, one in the writing center, on your alphabet wall. Anywhere and everywhere, you're going to have name cards, right? You're going to provide multiple opportunities daily for kids to interact with their names and the names of their classmates. And on the screen, you can see some name cards in action in the writing center with stamps and Play-Doh. And these things are highly motivating to kids, right? Let me check the chat real quick because I know there's probably some questions. Thanks so much for helping Tom out with those links. Hey, Shannon, there's going to be some opportunities for you at the end to get more training on all of these concepts. So stay tuned. Tracy said she's been working really hard at these prerequisites all year. That's awesome. These are the skills I've been teaching in my classroom. Carla, isn't it great to know that you are on the right track? That's awesome. And here are some other activities. So kids can be using wiki sticks to make the first letter of their names. They can drive toy cars over the letters in the block center. They can make their names with magnetic letters or hunt for the letters of their names in the sensory bin. The possibilities are really endless when it comes to using student names for developing alphabet knowledge, right? But the most important thing is that it's playful, it's hands-on, and it's fun. So far we've talked about phonological awareness, we've touched on rather, and we've talked about concepts of print, and now we've talked about using their names to motivate them. Concepts of print, the environmental print is also highly motivating because they can, quote unquote, you can't see me, but I'm using air quotes, they can read that. So they can read their names and their friends' names, they learn how to read those, and then they read the environmental print, and we've really built up their self-esteem that way. But wait, there's more, right? If only we only had to teach phonological awareness skills, concepts of print, and alphabet knowledge, but no, we also have to worry about oral language. And the thing about oral language is a lot of folks mistakenly believe the oral language is just for those kids who are learning English, but actually oral language in any language is so important. Kids must be having peer-to-peer conversations. That means kid to kid. They must be having these peer-to-peer conversations because they've been proven to accelerate those oral language skills much more so than teacher-directed conversations, okay? Preschool is perfect for developing oral language because of the time spent in centers, not just dramatic play, but all centers. So for those of you out there who have to defend centers, and it's sad that I even have to say this, but I've heard it so many times, I know it's happening out there. If you have to defend your centers, go back to the research, right? The 4 factors that determine future reading success, right? Phonological awareness, concepts, print, alphabet knowledge, and oral language, and how do kids develop oral language? They develop that through peer-to-peer conversations, natural peer-to-peer conversations, not forced. And those happen in centers. So if you need to defend, that's what you can use. So as they engage in authentic conversations with their friends, they're developing these critical oral language skills. The more time they spend in centers, the more opportunities they'll have for developing oral language skills, all while they're playing and having fun. So the next time anybody asks why your kids just play all day, you can say they're developing their oral language skills and you're working on one of those 4 factors right there. So that brings us to the next step, right? This next step is about convergent and divergent thinking. It may sound like jargon, but hear me out. It's really simple. Convergent thinking is about following a linear path. That linear path includes memorizing facts, following instructions, and having just one right answer. Young children who are in an environment that focuses on convergent thinking often end up with very poor problem-solving skills. They aren't able to think for themselves, and they might even act out or exhibit challenging behaviors. But now that we've defined convergent thinking, let's talk about it in the context of worksheets. So some early childhood programs favor worksheets because they can be sent home to show parents proof that their children are learning. Worksheets are also easy and no prep, right? What's not to love about that? But when we look at worksheets from the perspective of how young children learn, they don't seem so great anymore. Worksheets don't require any peer-to-peer interaction. It's just the kid and the paper. No socialization is occurring when kids are doing worksheets. Worksheets have only one right answer. It's right or it's wrong. Circle the picture that starts with A. There is no alternative. Worksheets don't measure whether a child has really acquired the skill. They only measure how well the child can complete the worksheet, follow the directions, or even hold a pencil. Now, don't get me wrong, following directions and holding a pencil are great skills, but there are so many other ways we can accomplish those goals that don't involve worksheets. Do you see where I'm going with this? Worksheets focus on convergent thinking. But teaching with skill and confidence isn't about teaching the letters in order, A to Z, or using worksheets because it's what we've always done. It's about teaching in a way that demonstrates understanding of how young children learn because you deserve to be the best teacher you can be, and your kids deserve to be taught how they learn best. So we talked about convergent thinking. Now let's look at divergent thinking. Divergent thinking is all about collaboration, creativity, asking questions, and thinking outside the box. Divergent thinking facilitates those higher order thinking skills that include applying, analyzing, evaluating, and creating. Hello, Bloom's taxonomy, anybody? So young children are natural divergent thinkers. Just watch them for a minute in the dramatic play center using a fork for a phone and Legos for soup, and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about, right? So here is a classic example that some of you may be familiar with. This is an activity that's used often in early childhood to demonstrate to preschool parents the reasons why we don't use worksheets with young children. So on the screen, you can see an apple on the left and a worksheet on the right. Now let's pretend for a moment, we can all pretend because we're all early childhood teachers. Let's pretend you've never seen an apple before. You've never tasted one, you've never smelled one, you've never held one in your hands, and I gave you this worksheet. Would you be able to answer any of those questions on there? How does it feel? How does it taste? What color is it? How does it smell? If we were face to face right now, I'd hold up a real apple, I'd show it to you, but unfortunately one of the drawbacks of technology is I can't do that. So let's pretend I pass the apple around and you all have a turn to hold it in your hands, smell it, and we might even cut it up after and taste it, right? The point of this exercise is that young children learn best through hands-on experiences. And those hands-on experiences allow them to touch, see, hear, and manipulate objects. Oh, and surprise, I've included this worksheet for you in the handout, just in case you'd like to use it with the parents in your program too. I hope that you like that. It was a last minute idea that I had because I said, wait, what if they want this horrible worksheet? And my thought was, well, maybe they could use it with their parents to explain this very thing to them. Because if you're feeling pressured, remember in the beginning we said there was pressure, a lot of us were feeling pressure, this would be a great activity. If worksheets aren't the answer, then what should kids be doing instead? And it can sometimes feel like a huge gaping hole has been ripped into our program when we move away from worksheets. There can be feelings of uncertainty, fear that our kids won't know what to do, fear that you'll be a complete and utter failure as a teacher without the worksheets. So here on the screen are just a couple of the many, many, many activities my children have enjoyed over the years. The one on the left is a pocket cube, you know, one of those soft, squishy cubes that has pockets, clear pockets in it. And in each pocket of the cube is a different action. Kids select a picture card. They identify the number of syllables that the pictured item has. So see like the picture of the kite, the flower, the butterfly. Now this is something that you would be doing with them in a small group. So you would be able to scaffold for support. So once they identify the picture on the card, then we can help them by scaffolding, decide if it has 1, 2, or 3 syllables. Right now, and this is, you can differentiate this by just doing 1 and 2 at first. You can add the 3rd syllable on later. But they roll the cube, they pick the card, identify the picture, decide how many syllables it has, and then they perform the action on the cube. So the cube here is showing a little boy touching his head. So let's say they picked kite. They identified it having 1 syllable, and then they touch their head once. And if they chose flower, they would touch their head twice. There's all sorts of physical movements that are involved. So this is a really, aside from teaching it naturally and read aloud, this is a really fun hands-on way. The pocket cube is your 3-dimensional item, and you've got movement in there. My kids love this game. And on the right, we have Mr. Munchie. He is a trash can from the dollar store. And then I have the 3-dimensional items there from the Lakeshore letter sound tubs, but I've also collected over the years Japanese erasers that work just as well. They're all little tiny erasers that look like things similar to these. And Mr. Munchie eats only certain things. And so we can do a lot of letter sound things. We can even do syllables with these, but it's three-dimensional, hands-on, real objects, and kids absolutely love this activity. And there's a little picture there of what those Lakeshore Letter Sound tubs look like. I don't work for them, but I totally feel like these are must-haves in all early childhood programs. Let's see. These are really fun small group games. It's not just kids and paper, right? These are actual hands-on movement, fun activities that you can use to get your kids learning. These are just two of many, many, many activities similar to this that I have over at Pre-K Pages, but we'll talk more about that in a minute. So I want you in the chat box right now to tell me how does it feel for those of you who are contemplating making this move away from worksheets to more hands-on. How does it make you feel, right? You could type excited or scared or whatever you want in the chat box. And while you do that, and while I check the comments, I want you to think about, imagine that you showed up every day into a classroom full of joyful learning, where kids are learning and you're not constantly having to harp on them to do your work, right? Wouldn't that be wonderful? Excited but anxious, terrified, nervous. Absolutely. Yes. Uncertain, says Sabrina. Yes, that's a good one. That's a good word. Terrifying, says Jordan Lynn. Absolutely. Overwhelmed, says Lisa. Eager yet nervous, excited but anxious. Wonderful responses. And just think of some of the problems that will decrease in your classroom when you don't have to worry about doing your work, right? Like decreased behavior problems because kids are actually learning while they're having fun, right? Absolutely amazing. And I love, love, love this quote. Some of you may have seen it when you signed up. If a child can't learn the way we teach, maybe we should teach the way they learn. And that's what this is all about, right? That's what we're here for tonight. There is so much research out there about how kids learn, but so many of these tired out old canned curriculums just keep churning out the same old thing that works for some kids, but not all. They don't care about you being the most confident and most skilled teacher you can be, or if your students are getting the best learning experience. Instead, they focus on getting it done and having everybody on the same page at the same time, which we know doesn't work. Don't you deserve better? Don't your kids deserve better? I think so. So that brings us to the third pillar here, teaching letters in isolation. Teaching letters in context versus isolation. Pardon me. I should read what's on the screen, shouldn't I? So teaching letters in isolation means focusing on learning just one letter for a specific time period, such as letter of the week. And teaching letters in context means teaching those letters as they become meaningful to the children in the world around them. So let's take the letter K, for example. Maybe you put a crown and a cape in the dramatic play center because they're going to be playing king, and you've got a koala bear and some leaves in the sensory bin because you're learning about the letter K. What do these things have in common? Do your kids even care about koala bears and kings? Do they even know what they are? Sure, they may enjoy it. They like wearing the crown and putting on the cape, playing with the koala bear. But is it effective for teaching children to identify letters of the alphabet? There's no context. It is not meaningful to the children. And it can actually hinder their learning when they're constantly bombarded with koala bears and kings for no obvious reason, when what they're really interested in are their classmates and themselves. Sure, letter of the week looks great on lesson plans and in parent communications, but it doesn't follow the way young children learn. It follows a linear path, a path that can hold kids back when it comes to reading readiness, especially in today's day and age. So when we teach letters in context, we keep in mind how children learn. They learn globally, all learning all the things all the time, right? The letters will be more meaningful for them. They'll start to retain information naturally and at a much more rapid pace when the letters are taught in context versus teaching just one letter of the week in isolation. Did you get that? Kids retain information naturally and more quickly when we teach them in context. I know that's really hard to believe, but we're going to share some information with you in just a minute that might help solidify this for you. So in this simple magnetic letter T-chart, Grace is learning to identify the characteristics of the letters in her name. This is going to help her to distinguish the similarities and the differences, while they're subtle, that make each letter unique to her in a meaningful and authentic way. Is Grace motivated to learn about the letter G and the letter R and the letter A and the letter C and the letter E? Yes, she is, because using the names of the children in your classroom means something to them. It helps them understand why we're doing all of this versus the cape and the crown and the koala bears that don't mean anything to them, right? And in case you're wondering, this is a cheap dollar store cookie sheet. I put some electrical tape on it and I wrote on it, and you can actually take that writing off if you use like a magic eraser. And I gave her a simple name card, and then she started sorting the letters. And this is probably something we would work up to. It's not going to be the first day of preschool in any age group. Let's see. Okay, I told you we were going to have some information here. So here is what Julie had to say about using students' names to make meaningful connections. Julie says, this week I tried the T-chart on the cookie sheet. My students loved it. We started with letter shapes, like in the example, holes and no holes. There's a little example there in the corner. And after talking with my assistant, they decided to move on because they had some kids who were advanced. She said that I found that one of my students who often struggles when we say line up if your name starts with, or if you have the letter in your name, really excelled at in my name, not in my name. How powerful is that? Julie is a teacher just like you. Here's the holes, no holes. In this magnetic letter T-chart, we're identifying the characteristics of the letters and calling attention to their similarities, right? These are all the letters. Now you'll notice a mistake on the screen. We know that because we're not perfect. Kids aren't perfect. They're going to make mistakes. That's a teachable moment. But all the letters that have holes in them go on one side and all the letters that don't go on the other. It seems like such a simple activity, but it helps kids pay attention to the similarities and the differences. Those are called characteristics of the letters. Activities like this give kids a chance to touch, feel, and manipulate the letters of the alphabet. Teaching letters in context allows kids to see letters in an authentic and meaningful way. The purpose of all reading is to create meaning, right? The purpose, I'm going to say it again, the purpose of reading is to create meaning. And that's what we're doing when we're teaching letters in context. Here's what Carrie had to say about using T-charts and magnetic letters to help her kids develop alphabet knowledge. She said, I started using the magnetic letter matching after viewing one of the videos from last year. I have the tray at the table, but I also have the full alphabet in a straight line on my magnetic oil drip pan hanging on the wall. It really drew a lot of interest in letters, both in finding them and matching them. I really noticed an improvement in their acquisition of letter recognition. I started using the T-charts this year as a small group activity. Today we were sorting words that begin with a C or a B. One of my kids that usually doesn't choose learning activities with me without some prompting came over to play all on his own. This is a huge deal for me. Oh my goodness. Doesn't that make your heart go pitter patter? Way to go, Carrie. So teaching globally with hands-on activities when you're bringing out the letters found naturally in context allows children to start making connections at their own pace. So for example, if you're learning about spring and you're reading spring sentences in a pocket chart with a pointer, Sophia, one of your students, Sophia, may be getting something entirely different out of it than one of your students named Noah. Sophia may be realizing that each chunk of letters that you point to represents one spoken word. But Noah may just be beginning to understand that that pointer moves back to the left each time the teacher points to the picture. But they're each learning and developing these reading readiness skills at their own pace, right? They're both getting something valuable from it, and they're both growing from it. But here's the kicker. How do I explain to the parents that I won't be teaching the letters in order? Aha. Well, you could use that worksheet I showed you before. But one of the things that people always ask me when it comes to worksheets is, how do I explain it to the parents? They won't like it. I would simply say that the most current research shows that teaching letters in context is more effective than the outdated letter of the week, and that they may have been taught when they were in preschool or kindergarten. And just like there have been many advances in technology in the last 50 or 60 years, the same holds true for education. And then you can reference the developmentally appropriate guidelines from NAEYC, that's the National Association for the Education of Young Children, and explain how this organization is considered the national authority on young children and how they learn. And I would invite any parent that wants to sit down and review the NAEYC guidelines. Let me tell you, I've done this before, and not many parents take you up on that. So easy peasy. You can have the confidence and skill you need to be the best teacher for your students, because they deserve it. And the next question I get asked all the time is, how do I, well, it kind of goes along with the last one. How do I prove that the kids are learning if I'm not sending the worksheets home? I want you to think outside the box when it comes to documenting those hands-on learning experiences you're doing in your classroom, to show your parents and administrators. And some ideas you can try portfolios, whether they're digital or they're paper. And I have more information about portfolios at the link, but you don't need mine. You can do any old way you want. Take photographs. Photographs are great. They're the best proof. Parent communication apps. Now there's a list of a million. Those are so hot right now. Two that I know off the top of my head, but I haven't used, but I've heard good things about, are Hi Mama and Life Cubby. Hi, H-I, Mama, M-A-M-A, Hi Mama, and Life Cubby. Those are two that I know of and that I've heard good things about, but I can't say for sure. There's lots of them out there. We could do a whole video on that. And also, if you're allowed to take video of students learning and sending the video of one particular student to the parents, that's another way to document learning. And there's a lot of digital portfolios out there that that folks use that really help demonstrate how kids learn and what they're learning without the use of worksheets. So I want you to take heart and know that you can let parents know what kids are learning without worksheets. And now the next thing, if you're worried about how you're going to write your lesson plans. So this is the next question I always get. How do I write my lesson plans if I'm not teaching a letter of the week? The best thing you can do if you want to start moving away from letter of the week is to get a hold of a scope and sequence for your age group, whether you teach 3s, 4s, kindergarten, whatever, or you can create one for yourself. A scope and sequence is like a curriculum map. It lays out all the skills you need to teach during the year in a calendar type way. This one on the screen is one I created for 4-year-old pre-kindergarten or TK that you can download for free at the link on the screen. It's also in your handout. This is called the Teaching Trailblazer. It lists all the skills that need to be taught in pre-K and when during the course of the year you should teach them. And the skills in the Trailblazer are based on the developmental sequence of how young children learn, and they're aligned to current state and national early learning standards. And of course, it also has themes you can follow to get in all that fun hands-on learning you know your kids need to stay engaged and on task. So if you want something like that, you can take a peek at it. There's also an editable version, like a little template. So if you want to or need to create one on your own, you can use mine as a guide for how I did it, and you can fill one in that meets your needs for your program. All right. So if you would like me to teach you how to bring global learning to your classroom with more hands-on learning in context. So your kids will be learning in the most effective and efficient way, or effective and efficient way. 2 E's in a row threw me off. But would you like more learning on that? If you would like to learn more, because some of you have already said, wait, can you break those phonological awareness skills down for me? Can we talk about how to teach concepts of print or the alphabet or oral language? How can, we need more than just this, right? And remember, you're here because you've been frustrated with your kids not remembering the letters as you teach them, right? Whoop. Hold on. You've felt pressured by more demands on you as a teacher, even as your kids come into your classroom with fewer skills each year. You're fighting those shorter attention spans, no fine motor skills, lack of parental support, but you're still held accountable to even higher standards. And you want to be up to date on the current trends and best practices in emergent literacy, not just rely on outdated info or those internet rumors, right? So at this point, you have 2 options. Option 1, you don't make a plan to bring global, hands-on in context learning to your classroom, and you stay confused and frustrated. And you're in the same place this time next year with confused kids who misbehave and have a shaky foundation for future reading success. Or option 2, you 100% commit to bringing this kind of learning to your classroom using a proven roadmap, infused with current best practices that embrace the way young children actually learn. Those are your 2 choices. If you would like, you are invited, if you're ready to bring your A game to your classroom and create fun, effective, engaging learning experiences for your students, and you want the roadmap to help you do it, I'd like to personally invite you to the Teaching Tribe. The Teaching Tribe is the only online learning community of its kind that not only gives you the tools and resources you need to teach with skill and confidence, but also the training to help you understand the why behind the what, and the communities to support you as you grow. Let me tell you what you get inside the Teaching Tribe. We have master classes where you can learn best teaching practices in the form of on-demand video training. We like to call it PD in your PJs because you can pick whatever you need to learn whenever you want it. We have more than 20 hours of on-demand video masterclasses ready and waiting for you over in the Teaching Tribe, plus those certificate of attendance that you love. We also have training with content area experts on topics like classroom management, literacy, math, toddlers, special needs, and many more. And if you wanted to learn from all these experts, there is no conference you could attend and get this quality of training. Experts like Dr. Danny Bursell, Dr. Reggie Melrose, Kathy Doggett, and many more. We also have 24/7 support and community. Our community is a safe haven for asking and answering questions, no matter where in the world you are. We have members from around the globe in places like Australia, New Zealand, Mexico, Canada, Brazil, Japan, the UAE, and Ireland, and many, many more. I could go on. I love how global our community is. So if you were to pay for all of these trainings individually, it would cost you $2,000 US. But hang on. Now, don't bail on me just yet, because I have a very special offer for you that is much more realistic and friendly on your wallet. Here is what Debbie had to say. I had my annual formal observation today, and it went great. I used the science info from Row Your Boat bundle in the Teaching Tribe Vault to do a sink and float activity. It was so easy to use, and the best part was, get this one, I loved this. The activity satisfied the rigor that we are expected to use, but it was also developmentally appropriate. How many times do you hear rigor and developmentally appropriate in the same sentence? Way to go, Debbie. I am so happy that the Teaching Tribe helped her ace her formal evaluation. That is awesome. So I'm also throwing in some amazing bonuses just for you because you deserve it. Bonus number 1, in addition to the master classes, the content area experts, and the supportive community, is my How to Let Go of Letter of the Week course. This course consists of 6 modules that walk you through step by step how to move away from letter of the week. And it helps you become the most skilled and competent teacher you know you can be, because you deserve it. And in this course, I'll share the exact activities you can do in your classroom for each of those 4 factors that determine future literacy success, to help you through this tough transition so you and your kids can experience the sweet success of reading readiness. And here's what one of our members had to say about her experience with letting go of letter of the week and how the teaching tribe helped her do it. I am in several groups, and it is always, how do you teach the alphabet? I've been a child care provider most of my life and have children and grandchildren of my own. I diligently did the letter of the week. What a struggle to get the children to learn and remember. It was a lot of fun, but by graduation, some of the children were still struggling. Then I joined the teaching tribe and followed Vanessa's teaching. In September, I used her ideas to teach my students the alphabet, and by the end of November, they all knew their uppercase letters, and by early December, they also knew their lowercase. Success! Oh my word, isn't that amazing? I just love that people are out there in the teaching tribe replicating the experience that I've had in the classroom, the success that I've had teaching children how to learn the alphabet in playful, natural ways that actually accelerates the learning process instead of holding them back. So this next bonus is crazy. It's my complete curriculum, not just literacy, but math, science, and more. You can apply the same philosophy I just reviewed with you here in this webinar to your entire classroom using my curriculum. My complete curriculum includes all of my thematic small group math and literacy activities, all of my exclusive fairy tale and nursery rhyme lesson plan bundles, all of my rules and routines packets, all of my parent communication resources like open house PowerPoints and editable parent handouts, all of my resources like tub labels, center signs, picture schedule cards, student portfolios, editable name cards, and more, and all of my super popular dramatic play kits, plus anything new that is created while you're a member. And if you want to see what's included in the entire curriculum, you can go to this link. Now it's in the handout. So if you get the handout, you can just click on it, or Tom can drop it in the comments below. So if you want to see a list of everything that's currently in the curriculum, you can do that at that link. And anything that I add that's new, right, is going to be put into what we call that vault. So you will get anything new that I publish while you're a member. And if you were to buy every single thing in my curriculum separately, it will cost you $1,141. But that is not, I promise you, not what you're going to pay. So if you were to take the training and the community and all of the printables and the course, it would all add up to $3,241, which is a ridiculous price. You might be thinking that all of this awesomeness costs thousands, and you'd be right. But don't bail on me, because as an attendee of this webinar, I'm going to offer you a special deal, and at that link there on the screen. So right now, the monthly price of the Teaching Tribe, membership in the Teaching Tribe, is $29 US. In annual, which is where you save $58, annual is $290 US, right? So you can get all of those things I just showed you, right? All of the training, all of the printables, the community, the letting go letter of the week course, all of that. You can get that for this price right now. Ever since we opened the doors to the Teaching Tribe in 2016, we have never raised prices, even though we added more than $2,000 worth of trainings and lesson plans since we first opened. So that's why this enrollment period is the very last time we're going to be offering this low rate. but you can lock in your membership now and your rates will never go up because you'll be grandfathered in at the current rates. But once we close the doors on May 5th, the next time we open, prices will go up. If you are a member right now, because I know we have members watching, I want to thank you for joining us to show your support. And as a current member, right now, you'll be grandfathered in at that current rate for as long as you remain a member in good standing. So here is what Serena had to say about being a member of the Teaching Tribe. Our site had an audit and the main guy from the state came into my classroom to observe me. I'll have to admit, I was very stressed out. I'm sure none of you can relate, right? Trying to prepare for it. I want to say that he was very impressed and realized the students had only been in school a month and were able to follow routines and were very engaged with staff and each other. I want to say thank you to Vanessa and this group because you guys are a great support and the Vault is an awesome resource. Our program was very excited because we did not get one ding on our record. He was happy with everything. And our preschool program, for those of you not in the South, TYG means thank you, Jesus. So way to go, Serena. Now here is something fun. I made this for you to share with your administrator, okay? So hold on just 1 minute. See if this will work. So when you click on the link to the interactive brochure, it will open up in a new window. All your administrator has to do is click on the little arrows to turn the pages, and they turn just like a booklet. So this is the link that you will share with your administrator if you want them to learn about the Teaching Tribe and what benefits it will offer to their pre-K teachers as far as professional development and learning go. And so they can read this. It talks about me, the benefits of having you as a member of our tribe, and also the benefits of what you will get inside. So they can see the full list of all the resources. They can also learn more about the video, on-demand video masterclasses and the community. And then over here on the pricing page, we have linked the purchase order. So if your principal would like to go ahead and initiate the purchase order process, he or she can go ahead and send this link to the person in charge of that for your school. And these buttons here, sign up now for the monthly $29 package or the annual $290 package. These are each for one teacher only. They can click right on those buttons and get started right away. And then on the back, we have some testimonials as well. So go ahead and share this link with your administrator so that you don't have to pay for the Teaching Tribe out of your own pocket. So if you would like to join right now, or if you want to share this video with your administrator, when you click that join button and you can select your annual or monthly membership and you just enter your details. It's super easy. It's just like anything you would buy online. Once you've done that, you know that it worked because you get the confirmation page. So this is what it looks like. It says, welcome new members. There's a picture of this person here. That's how you know you're in the right place. And once you get that, then you should get the information on how to log into the tribe. And all of this comes to your email. So make sure your email is a good one that you're using. And then you can log in with your username and your password that you set. And once you get there, there's a place to start here. And you can go, there's a little welcome video for me, and I give you a little tour of what you will find on the inside. And then there's our members area. Underneath that welcome video, we have the teacher resource vault, which is where all those printable goodies live. We have the community. We have we call power hours, our master classes with me. We have frequently asked questions. Recorded broadcasts are all of my Facebook Lives from 2.5 years. All of those Facebook Lives, hundreds of them. And then there are also the under member discounts. There's the office hours where we have the guest experts. I couldn't remember what was under there. And then Yes. So don't forget that this is the last time we'll be offering this super low rate. You want to lock in your pricing and enroll now at $29 US a month or $290 US annual. You save $58 with the annual, and lock in that pricing for as long as you remain in good standing. And that way you won't have to pay when the prices go up. So you won't have to pay the extra. And to answer those questions I saw over in chat, we do have group pricing, and we do have, okay. So here's the thing. I love helping early childhood teachers everywhere, but the truth is there's only one of me and only so many PD days in a year. So believe me, I've presented in person to teachers across the US in states like Florida, New Hampshire, Chicago, Texas, California, and the travel delays were brutal. With the Teaching Tribe, I can reach more teachers than I ever could schlepping around the country in a rickety tin can. So here is this is an actual email. I took a screenshot of it. It says, your Facebook alphabet video was brilliant. It's evident you can break things down and put them back into a whole. What do we have to do to get you to come and visit us here and I've redacted that, and do some training? There are time lags with grants and such. Please let me know how we can book you so we can begin writing our grant. Well, let me tell you that this sweet lady was not located in the US. She was located somewhere that would take me 2 days of air travel to get to. And as much as I want to come and help her out, I just can't be gone for that long and travel that far, as much as I would like to do that. And here is a sweet lady in North Carolina. And guess what, guys? I never made it to North Carolina. This poor lady is probably still waiting on me to return her email as we speak. She says, have you ever been to North Carolina to do a workshop? We rarely get pre-K related professional development. Can you relate? And we would love to see you. I'm not sure how much it costs to have a PD day with us, but if you can give me some more info about pricing and topics, that would be great. I look forward to your email. I'm so sorry that I never got back to you, because I am so busy running the Teaching Tribe. So what would be most cost effective for this lady would be to have her teachers join the Teaching Tribe, because then she doesn't have to pay for travel and I don't have to sleep on the floor of the Charlotte Douglas airport when the flight is canceled. So it's true that being a member of the Teaching Tribe is amazing, but what if you're the only one on your campus or in your school district participating? Wouldn't it be even better if all the pre-K teachers on your campus or in your district were on the same page? Now that's where bulk pricing comes in. We offer discounts for groups of 10 or more teachers from the same school or district. And this way you and all of your coworkers can get the relevant high quality professional development you deserve without having to sit through training that is completely irrelevant. We also know how painfully slow the purchase order process can be. So we've streamlined the process for you, and we will hold your spot as soon as the purchase order is initiated. So in your handout, there is a link to the purchase order page at the Teaching Tribe. And if you want to forward that to your principal, it's also in that administrator brochure that I shared with you before. So don't forget to share that link to the brochure with your administrator. And this is the link to the actual purchase order page. If you're a director or you would like to just initiate that process right now, you can go ahead and do that. I want to thank everyone for taking the time to join us tonight. I hope you got some ideas you can take back and use in your classroom right away. And don't forget, this enrollment period is only open for a short time. We only open twice a year, and the next time that we open, the rates will have increased. So if you want to lock in that lower pricing, you're going to want to go ahead and do that as soon as possible. Thanks again for watching. I'm Vanessa Levin from Pre-K Pages, and until next time, see you later.